Today on the Frontline Health Podcast.
Our body needs omega-6 really to have a healthy brain function and also to have growth in our brain and within our body to help develop nerves. But part of the problem comes in, like we already mentioned, when you get it out of balance. What we really need is about a 1-to-1 balance between your omega-6 intake and your omega-3 intake. There's some studies that suggest maybe a 4-to-1 is even okay. But what we're seeing in the typical American diet is we're about 20-to-1. So we get 20 times as many omega-6s in our diet than we do our omega-3s. And that's where the big issue seems to come in. And we know that it's a huge contributor to chronic inflammation and other issues that are out there with our health.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Frontline Health Podcast by Centurion. As always, I'm joined by our founder and CEO, Troy Duell. Today we're going to be talking to you guys about the hidden dangers of seed oils. I think you're going to be surprised at how many of the processed foods we consume today are filled with these seed oils, and I think you're really going to be shocked by the amount that we consume. They're cheap, they're everywhere, and recent research suggests that they might be having a negative impact on your health, which is why we're talking about them today. So what is the deal with these oils, and why should we be concerned?
Well, Evan, there are a lot of mixed messages that are out there because we do hear that seed oils can be a healthy option from some research. And recent research, though, has suggested that there's probably some big issues behind the scenes with those oils. And part of it is the confusion comes in because we know that these seed oils and seeds have healthy fat, omega-6, which is a good thing. But the problem is we start to get out of balance with our omega-3 levels and our omega-6s, and that's when we really start to see some issues with our health as we're out there.
Okay, so let's break this down. Seed oils come from, of course, seeds.
Well done. Yes.
Yes.
Well done.
In case you didn't know that. Some of the specific seeds that they come from are sunflower seeds, soybean, safflower, and canola oils. They're in everything from salad dressings to packaged snacks, but the main thing that sets them apart, as you just said, is their high content of omega-6 fatty acids. And you mentioned that omega-6 fatty acids are actually good for us, but you also said something about the imbalance between omega-6 and omega-3. So could you break that down a little bit for us? If omega-6 is good for us, why are we hearing so much concern around these oils?
Yeah, and I think it's a great question. Our body needs omega-6 really to have a healthy brain function and also to have growth in our brain and within our body to help develop nerves. But part of the problem comes in, like we already mentioned, when you get it out of balance. What we really need is about a 1-to-1 balance between your omega-6 intake and your omega-3 intake. There's some studies that suggest maybe a 4-to-1 is even okay. But what we're seeing in the typical American diet is we're about 20-to-1. So we get 20 times as many omega-6s in our diet than we do our omega-3s. And that's where the big issue seems to come in. And we know that it's a huge contributor to chronic inflammation and other issues that are out there with our health.
I've heard of people tracking their macros, and that seems tedious enough for me to just keep up with the carbs and fat and protein that I'm getting in. But tracking omega-6 to omega-3 ratios takes it to a whole nother level, doesn't it?
It does. And we're going to have a nice spreadsheet to come up with all these things we have to track in our health. But I think it really could be as simple as just understanding where those fatty acids are coming from, and the seed oils in particular, that get us out of whack. So I don't think it has to be as difficult as necessarily tracking it.
It's mostly just cutting down on the seed oils that contain so much omega-6 that get us out of balance.
Yep, for sure.
So chronic inflammation, as we know, is linked to serious health conditions, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, and even some cancers. And I think people today are very concerned about inflammation and all of the different things that cause it. And research shows that when you decrease the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in your diet, inflammation decreases and your risk of these conditions goes down too. But too much omega-6, especially from seed oils, seems to encourage inflammation in the body. So does this mean if you get a balanced intake of omega-6 and omega-3s, you should be fine?
Kind of a tricky question because yes, you should be well on the way to where you need to be. But the problem isn't necessarily just with getting that ratio right. We know that these seed oils are highly processed. So, and we know that that highly processed situation creates more oxidative damage, and then it gets into your body and can cause that oxidative stress and also leads to other chronic diseases. So the first step is let's get everything in balance. And then the second step is trying to reduce our processed food intake, because we know that the more processed food we have, the less health benefit it has for the body, because it does have some of those oxidative issues that cause oxidative stress in our bodies that we know is linked to other issues within our health. So certainly you've got to watch out for your fast food intake. You've got to watch out for your baked goods, your packaged snacks. All those things are really kind of the start of where you want to go, because anything that's mass produced is going to probably have a lot of seed oils in it. And we know that they're high in omega-6, but they're stripped of those beneficial nutrients like fiber and the antioxidants and the vitamins that typically come with the seeds that we consume.
So experts say that if you want to avoid the downsides of seed oils, it's best to just cut back on processed foods altogether. And it kind of sounds like that's what you're saying as well.
Absolutely.
A lot of these oils are used because they're cheap. And they extend the shelf life of products, right? We're all about convenience. Even though we do throw away so much food, a lot of people I know will avoid purchasing organic or whole foods altogether. That's simply right. Because they don't last as long as we're accustomed to with these processed foods. But just because these products last longer and because they have that longer shelf life, and they're more convenient, and sometimes we find them tastier too, that doesn't mean that they're doing our health any favors at all.
It doesn't, and I think to put it into some context and maybe a little bit more understanding of what we want to do, it's interesting because it takes so many seeds to create just a little bit of oil. If you look at these sunflower seeds, 2 of these jugs would equal about 6 pounds of seeds, and that's the seeds with the shell. So this is 1 pound of naked seeds, and you need 6 pounds of this to create just 1 liter of oil.
So for those who are just listening and not watching, we have a huge 1 gallon glass container of sunflower seeds, and you're saying it takes 2 of these?
At least 2 of those, and we know that that's just 6 pounds of seeds with the shells. What we're talking about is 6 pounds of seeds without the shells, and we've got a pound of seeds here that have no shell on them, and that's what it takes to create 1 liter of seed oil. And the big issue is we know that when you do that, you're taking all the benefits of the seed. So our bodies, we couldn't sit down and eat 6 pounds of seeds and really feel very good about ourselves. Yeah. But if we did, we'd at least be getting the fiber, we'd be getting the other nutrients that come along with those seeds, where in this case, we're just shoveling all the seed oil into our food. So an 8-ounce bag of potato chips, I think that's a great example. It takes about 90 milliliters of seed oil, which is the equivalent of about a 1/4 pound of seeds. So you take a 1/4 pound of what we have here, and that's how much seed oil or 1/4 pound of those seeds that you'd have to eat in order to get that same amount of seed oil. So you're getting all the oils without all the nutrients that go along with it. What about French fries? You need even more oil. They suggest that it's about 2 cups, so you're about 472 milliliters of oil, which is about 2.7 pounds of seeds in order to get that same oil amount in order to make those fries, which is, as you probably have already guessed, a lot of seeds and not a lot of benefit from the total seed that we're taking in.
For sure. So like many of you, we are curious about different products that are out there on the shelf at the grocery stores today. Maybe some of our favorite potato chips out there contain an excessive amount of seed oils, probably most of them, like what we're looking at. And so in order to kind of make that real for us and to make that real for you and to just sort of be aware of that, we're actually going to take a trip. We're going to take a little field trip, and we're going to go to the grocery store, and we're going to see our favorite potato chips, just how much seed oil is contained in each of those bags of potato chips.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see if we can find potato chips that don't have seed oil and figure out how many total potato chips out there that we typically consume do. So I'm excited about taking that in and hopefully coming up with some alternatives, because we know that if you can change just that one little piece or some of the other processed foods that we take in and start looking for the olive oil or the avocado oil or even coconut oil, you're going to be one step ahead of where you should be from that standpoint. So always look for those healthier alternatives. And I think what a lot of people get confused on is, well, these are still processed, but what we know about olive oil, avocado oil, and coconut oil in particular is they can handle a lot of high heat before they start to break down and oxidize, which then doesn't lead to that oxidative stress that we talked about earlier that these seed oils seem to lead to.
Video you behind you.
All right, so Cape Cod, one of my favorites. Love these chips. And they've got sunflower, safflower, and or soybean oil and canola oil all in there. And what they say on these is they'll say vegetable oil, and then they'll talk about the other oils that they have with it, which are really just seed oils. So Cape Cod has it. What about Golden Flake? Yep, vegetable oil, cottonseed oil, palm oil, corn oil, canola oil, and soybean oil. So again, not good. Zaps, that's a great one. Love these chips, but they contain vegetable oil, peanut oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower oil, canola oil, safflower oil, and or soybean oil. So unfortunately, we don't really have a lot of choices. We keep moving down to the Lay's aisle, and let's see what we have with Lay's, because surely Lay's, they're a big one. They're not going to have it in there, are they? Nope, vegetable oil, canola, corn, soybean, and or sunflower oil. So lots and lots of options, but not very many without any seed oils in them. So Ruffles, there's another one that we all love. Vegetable oils, canola, corn, soybean, and or sunflower oil. Let's see. How about some Doritos? Everybody loves a good Dorito, right? So it's got corn, canola, and soybean. Step forward a little bit. He's trying to get past you. So Doritos, corn, canola, and soybean. And it also has yellow 5 and red 40, which are two dyes that are linked to ADHD and a lot of other things. So unfortunately, it's out. How about these baked? Yeah, sun chips. You know, those sun chips we always think of as being healthy, right? Let's see what we've got. Canola oil, sunflower oil. So unfortunately, even the sun chips have it. What about the original sun chips that have no taste? Sunflower and or canola oil. So yeah, that's not good. Baked. Surely baked won't have it, right? It has cornstarch and corn oil, but it does not have sunflower or soy oil with it. So that's good. That's a step. And then you got the salt and vinegar, and those do have soy lecithin, but it doesn't look like it's got any of it does have corn oil as well. So those are things that you got to watch for. Any others on this aisle that we wanted to look at? Obviously, we've got some. What about Cheetos?
Oh, Cheetos are good.
Yeah, I love Cheetos and Fritos. So the good old Cheetos, the crunchy style.
they have vegetable oil, corn, canola, sunflower oil. So, and it also has yellow number 6. Not as bad as the red 40 and yellow 5. What about the Fritos? Fritos, gotta love those. Corn, canola oil. So again, has it in there. But these have yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 2, red 40, yellow 5, blue 1. That has a ton of them in there. Who knew that was there?
What about Funyuns?
Funyuns. Used to love Funyuns. And Funyuns, corn, canola, sunflower oil. So unfortunately, they go down for the count too. But one that we probably don't think of a lot of is just regular chips, like corn chips, all vegetable oil, corn, canola, and/or sunflower oil. So are there any alternatives for us to eat that are somewhat healthy? I think we found some down here. Let's check them out. So these are actually made with avocado oil, and they're grain-free. So it's got cassava, avocado oil, and no actual oil from seeds, which is great. So higher point for oxidation, so it doesn't oxidize as fast, which is great. So it's good for your health. And then I saw these when we went by. You've got Boulder Canyon. They're actually made out of avocado oil as well. And it just has potatoes, avocado oil, and sea salt. So most of the others had a whole host of those. This one didn't. Avocado oil with malt vinegar. I don't know what malt vinegar is. You know what malt vinegar is?
I don't.
Okay. But it's got sea salt, fructose, no seed oils in there. So all avocado oil, which is great. You got more of those. How about some of these air fried, kettle brand air frieds, kettle cooked, air finished? So even these that you would think would be healthy have vegetable oils, canola, sunflower, and/or safflower. So you can't just read on the outside, because that's marketing, that is air fried instead of, you need to know what it's fried with. Oh, what about these veggie chips down here? Right here. You've got real vegetable chips. What do you think they're made from?
Vegetables.
Vegetables with vegetable oil, canola and sunflower and safflower oil. So unfortunately, not as healthy as you'd like. Here's another one, rice cakes. Everybody thinks they're pretty healthy. Let's see what they're made out of. Yeah, rice flour, corn grits, vegetable oil. There you go. Canola and/or sunflower oil. So it's in everything. And then this has corn syrup in it too, which is pretty bad. What about just plain ones? Are there any plain? There you go. This one looks healthy because it's got apple cinnamon in it. Let's see what we've got. Corn grits and sunflower oil, soy. So again, another one that we may trick ourselves into thinking they're healthy, but they're not. So we got to be careful of what we eat. Read the labels.
So you mentioned a few different oils that we can use as alternatives when we cook at home, or that we can look for in products that we buy, like olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil. Is there anything else that we can do about it, or what are, I guess, some of our takeaways from this conversation about seed oils?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is to remember seed oil by itself is not necessarily a bad thing, because you are getting omega-6. It's the imbalance that we get between the seed oils and the omega fats that we need to have. So always look for those seed oils that you just recommended. Avocado, olive, and coconut. Those are 3 of the best to cook with at home. And then understand that once you get that ratio in place where you are taking in fewer seed oils, you're taking in more omega-3s, then you're looking for ways to just decrease your processed food intake altogether. Because when you do that, we know that the seed oils are more likely to oxidize, which causes that oxidative stress, whereas those others don't.
I love it. Let's go take ownership of our health.
All right, I like it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Frontline Health Podcast, and we encourage you to go out today and take ownership of your health, because no one cares more about your health than you do. Until next time.